Garrett, take us on an entirely more chaotic path here. And tell us about the dumb guy's image of a poster that is Elon Musk.
I like the way we go from Jack's like deep, detailed supply chain expertise. It's like, listen, Twitter gremlin, start speaking.
Yes.
So like there is the concept, Dave, you know it well, posting through it. It's what you should not do in the moment of a controversy. We are currently watching a man post through a 44 billion acquisition of a social media platform.
It's been incredible. It has been like, look, let's put one thing aside that's really like, that really sucks. And that is like literally as we were going to air tonight is when all the sacking started. So there's been something like nearly 4,000 people laid off, I think, from Twitter.
That's 3,500.
3,500, 4,000, yeah.
I think like the full workforce was about 7,000. So
and somebody pointed out what I think is like the greatest sign that there is absolutely no grand vision to what Elon Musk is going to do with Twitter is that somebody pointed out in a tweet is that Twitter have not released a statement on the sackings because they had fired the entire communications team as part of the sacking, so there literally is no one to make statements anymore.
Yeah, that was a little note in the TechCrunch article about it. It's like, we reached out for Twitter for a comment and did not receive anything back, but that may be because they fired their entire internal comms team.
And you won't see it in the trending news stories on the Explore tab on Twitter because they fired that whole team as well.
And a bunch of these people are based in Ireland, by the way. Twitter, with its European headquarters here.
I think about 250 people have
lost
lost their jobs today. Yeah.
So that shit sucks, but seeing a guy, like you said, post through burning $44 billion and probably, like, I was going to say only this week, but really, like, until a court made him finish the purchase, he knew he shouldn't have bought Twitter. He knew that this was going to be, like, people are talking like it's potentially ruinous to him, which is very funny.
Oh, I mean, crucially as well, a lot of the money that he used, he got from the banks, who have now also realised they're not getting that money back.
He also leveraged $10 billion of debt onto Twitter.
Yes.
Which means that I think their debt repayments are going to be close to £1 billion a year.
Can we like briefly mention as well that like it is... And I speak from lengthy personal experience considering my choice of sports team to follow, that leverage buyouts are something that should not be allowed to exist.
No, it's such nonsense, isn't it?
It's like the fucking, oh my God.
Nobody wins.
Nobody wins.
Yeah, it's just like, how have we allowed that to work? It's just like, I can borrow a bunch of money to buy a thing and then move the debt to the thing I bought. That's just like, how do we let that happen?
Let's just say, hopefully all those people that were sacked land somewhere where they can put their talents to good use. Hey, look, Tumblr announced this week they're bringing back nudes, so they need a content moderation team in a hurry.
I did see someone tweet today, I like, and I'm sure it's not true for all of the people that were fired, but I think it probably is a sentiment that holds for some of them. It's like, I have never spoken to so many people who are happy to have been fired.
Talk like with Tumblr, talk about like striking while the iron's horny. Like, just say, hey guys, come in here, we got nudes again. This is a really incredible marketing strategy this week that I've had to roar laughing at. But assuming that all the nice people, hoping that all the nice people land on their feet somewhere, and yes, like you said, Garrett, with the amount of them that have been on Twitter going, thank fuck that I was fired, it's going to be pretty entertaining, like watching him try to post through this.
Yeah, because like he, as you said, he has no plan. He never had a plan. He didn't want to go through with this in the first place. And his only way to actually make this work is to slash costs and start charging people for a platform most of them people resent having to use in the first place. And so you have a bunch of people who are depressed and sad to be there. It's like, money, please? Yeah. And also like Twitter is pretty much the only platform on the internet where you can achieve massive success without making money.
Yeah.
Like if you're hugely successful on YouTube, you can be a millionaire.
Yeah.
If you're hugely successful successful on Twitch, you can be a millionaire. You have a hugely successful podcast, you can be a millionaire. Hugely successful Twitter account, you're making fucking peanuts. And he's the one turning it around telling you should pay us to be here.
And this is the thing, like the story from this week was that is it Nibble or Nibble or Nibel?
I've always said Nibble, but that's because of the Final Fantasy.
I've always said Nibel because it's Nibelian is the at.
Yeah, Nibel would make sense. I'll go with Nibel. So he launched a Patreon not too long ago because, like, you know, what he does, for anyone that doesn't know, is he basically scours the internet and he gets whether it's like a video game trailer or an announcement or whatever, like he is usually the one there first to announce that thing, which to be quite honest must be a full-time job to be able to get that kind of information out before just about anyone else. And so he announced the Patreon, which was not based on anything more than just like, hey, this is the thing that I'm doing. If you want to chuck me a couple of bucks, please do, to support me. Nothing more than that. And by the time, well, you know, when the announcement came around that he was going to close the Patreon and also not close the Twitter account, but basically like just step away from Twitter, he only had about 948 Patreons. Which is, you know, it was about $1,000, which obviously isn't enough to live on per month. And it speaks to what you say there, Garrett, that like Twitter, as successful as that can be to your like level of success or whatever the case may be, it's not a platform that you use to monetize.
Its ability to, in that way, like if you're somebody that runs like a Twitter as a promotional space for Patreon work, Twitter's algorithm's ability to help you turn followers into paying customers is very, very poor. Because like we, neither myself nor Garrett would be nearly on the same scale as Nibel, but like we both run Patreons. We use Twitter to promote those Patreons, but like the amount of Patreon subscribers either one of us have is a fraction of like our actual followers across our like personal or podcast accounts. And it doesn't offer you the kind of other monetization services the likes of, you know, you mentioned, Garrett, like a Twitch or an Instagram will offer you. Not only that, but Twitter is not and it hasn't been for a long time, like the cool like place for the younger people coming of age in the social media age. They're not like,
we've had like 2 waves of that already. Like they moved to Snapchat and now they've moved to TikTok.
And even Instagram is coming back in a big way for them. For like, that's what I hear now. Like I often in work is like if we want to get the word out about a thing, where should we go? I have never once in my life heard someone say Twitter. Like
we're all those sad millennials. That's what Twitter is for.
Like, you know, Facebook is absolutely diabolical. I have like no, if it wasn't for messaging you guys, I would have no Facebook anymore. But one thing you can say is they have retained a generation of parents on there, that it's still practical for a business to aim things at parents by using Facebook. It is still practical to use Instagram to aim at young people. But Twitter, like, there's no real like unique audience that Twitter can like offer you as a business. And particularly like the blue check thing hasn't, like, I can't think of a time where that has mattered less. You know, it used to be a cool, like, I remember when I joined Twitter in 2009, it was a cool little thing. Seeing like, you know, I remember like Stephen Fry and stuff like that being early big Twitter users, Will Wheaton, people like that. And it was cool to have the blue check, for them sometimes to go, oh, these are the real people. And it was kind of a novelty at the time to have this website where you have like that direct instantaneous contact with somebody. But just the way the site has gone since, like, it's been a precipitous decline since like the mid 2010s on. And it just, the blue tick, like him going, what's so funny is his entire strategy, if you can call it that, because like you said, he has no plan, Garrett.
There is no strategy.
This whole
the price of this started at 20 and got whittled down to 8 by a tweet from fucking Stephen King.
That's what I was going for. Stephen King completely unraveled his business strategy in one tweet. Where it was just like he immediately, like, it was $20 is what we all heard, is what he tweeted, and then Stephen King buried him, and he was like, oh, what about $8 then? Like the reek of desperation. And something I saw this week was like, he just wants so much to be considered a poster and considered funny, and he will never be a poster.
That thread that like, he wants to be a poster so bad he bought the forum. It's just, it's so cutting. Yeah. It's like, oh god, that's like the lettuce thing that would devastate me as a human.
And somebody said like he's a reply guy. That's what he is. Like, he is the world's richest reply guy.
I'm very happy that we have entered the Smithers. I'm beginning to think that Elon Musk was not the brilliant tactician I thought he was phase of his life.
There was a tweet yesterday, like, from a New York Times video being like, Elon Musk says we'll get to Mars in 10 years. And that video was 10 years ago, and then hard cut to now of him posting the shittiest ass lame memes you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, but that's like, what he was, though. It was like, this is a guy who came up with PayPal, which is like a genuinely revolutionary bit of technology in terms of like person to person, person to business, business to business.
But did he actually invent that?
No,
he just
was an investor.
Into it. Yeah. Everything he's involved with,
he's never actually invented or developed anything. He's just arrived in, taken credit for other people's work, bought them out, and
good businesses,
sold on.
Though. like you've got to say, but up until that point,
he had good predatory instincts. Is all I can say for him. I don't.
They've gone,
and the more time goes on, the more you like. Obviously, the larger
blind luck.
Yeah, the larger.
Blind luck.
Now we have a larger data set to analyze his decision making process. You would have to err on the side of, like, this is a guy who got really lucky for a while.
Because the more you see rich people, like, because rich people used to exist in this like stratosphere where you didn't see them unless they like ran for political office or something. Yes. Whereas this man has decided to make himself the most visible man on earth, and everything you see is like, no, he's just fucking stupid and he got lucky.
Yeah.
That's all you can say. It's not intelligent, it's not guile, it's not cutting edge. He's just rich and he got lucky.
What was the other tweet today about he got so angry that a trans person banged his wife and then he bankrupted himself or something? Was the other tweet today I saw.
He spent $44 million. Or 44 billion. Yeah, and that was the other thing they said, like, for better or worse, and obviously 100% for worse, is like he is a born reply guy, whereas Trump was a born poster when he was on the platform. Is like he thinks he shit posts in a way that Trump used to, but Trump wasn't trying to shit post. He was just a shit human being on there.
How people didn't see Trump's rantings as like the sort of the same level as the guy that stands on the corner and is just angry at everyone and everything.
But the thing that's really fun for me this week is that, like, he talked such a big game about like bringing freedom of speech and comedy back to Twitter, like, because he had a tweet when it came out about how like comedy is legal again on Twitter, and that's one of the other instigating factors. And they talked about it. There was an episode of The Daily about this week on the New York Times that talked about one of the other instigating things in him deciding to buy Twitter was the absolutely painfully unfunny right-wing version of The Onion, the Babylon Bee, getting banned off Twitter, and that was like his favorite website.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. My favorite part of reading the Babylon Bee, which I don't do often, but reading it is like, what's the joke? It's like, haha, trans people. Yeah. Racist.
Do you see that thread?
It's not a joke here.
The thread of the guy who like screenshot every time they did an "I identify as blank" joke as a headline. Oh my god, like horrible. But no, it's seeing now that he's talked a big game about bringing that and unbanning people and things like that. Now he's getting in and he's seeing about how much that platform relies on advertisers who will leave if these people come back, like, because they're the reason a lot of these people got banned in the first place. Like, tomorrow, if he flipped a switch and like the three big ones that people constantly mention are Trump, Milo, and Alex Jones. And if the three of them came back, you don't think that that Twitter would tank in terms of advertising revenue? You've got another thing going, particularly
also,
with...
it already has, by the way, because the largest ad agencies have paused their ad spending on Twitter that represent people like Coca-Cola and all the biggest companies in the world are spending money on Twitter at the moment because they're like, this guy's not very trustworthy.
And on top of all of that, considering how he's approached sacking half of the workforce today, he's about to get sued to shit as well.
Oh yeah, there's already been talk this evening of multiple class action lawsuits.
All he's going to get out of this is he's going to be 44 billion in the hole. He's going to be deeply unpopular because either everyone will hate him for bringing all those people back, or he won't bring all those people back, and all the racist and horrible people that support him at the moment will turn on him. So one group of people will widely hate him. Probably both groups of people will end up widely hating him. And he's just going to end up with lawsuit after lawsuit from all the bumbling, horrible decisions he makes between firing people. And verification came from an impersonation case. There was a lawsuit about impersonation on Twitter that led to them introducing verification. That's why that it's not a status symbol, which is obviously how he sees it. It's a public safety measure to prevent impersonation. And here there's going to be a bunch of lawsuits about that because apparently their plans won't have ID check for verification. So what the fuck are you verifying, pal? But it's just there's going to be so much of a mess.
Not only that, but it's going to become such a stigma thing that if you have a blue check, you're a fucking nerd on the platform because you're volunteering to give him your money for no reason. You know what I mean?
It's literally a sucker symbol. It's
going to go from if you want to have called it a status symbol before now, I don't agree, but if you want to call it that, it's going to become the opposite of that now, where it's these are the real fucking geeks now, the ones with the check marks.
On top of that as well, someone did the numbers, and that if he managed to get even 10% of the amount of people that have a blue tick, that still only comes up to 1.5 million a year or something. It's such
it's something like half, I think 500,000 to 600,000 people have verified ticks now. So he's going to make no money. And listen, we love to dunk on Twitter everywhere in the world. We like to be hellscape, horrible site, hated. I
don't mind Twitter, but I follow the right amount of people that I need to, and I keep all the stupid people out. So Twitter's fine with me.
Yeah, it comes from how you interact with the platform and how you do that. And the thing is look, if you're one of the people that has said this week, oh look, Twitter's done, I'm out of here, fair enough. Couldn't disagree more from two respects. One, that implies that everything was rosy in the garden until a week ago. It's been the hell site, as you said, Garrett, for a long, long time. Like I said, the mid 2010s is when all this shit started. Really, it used to be just an innocent place where you'd see again, I'll use Stephen Fry as the reference. He'd just tweet out shit had a sandwich today. Pretty nice, and it's go to the place.
And then you'd reply to him and be like, "What's in the sandwich?" And he'd be like, "Oh, I had this in the sandwich." You'd be like, "Oh, what a nice interaction."
Come to places where I'd have discussions on Twitter back in the day with Kevin Smith and stuff like that, and it was a really cool little novelty to know. Anytime anyone tweets something, everyone's like, "Oh, fucking die," and worse, So there's that, and then the second thing is I couldn't be more compelled by watching Elon have a full fucking meltdown in real time as all this shit crumbles around him. I am gripped by it.
It's funny, Jack brought up the adoption curve. It's you can literally track the decline of Twitter to when it broke through the early adopters into the mainstream. It's that is, mid 2010s is when that happened, and then it just got increasingly worse as it's funny, we recognized this was a problem in YouTube comments in the back half of the 2000s, 2009, 2010. We was oh, YouTube comments are horrible, and we never did anything about that, and then everywhere just became YouTube comments. And it's but I said, I like Twitter. Twitter of all of the social media apps, and there are far too many of them, Twitter was always my go-to place. It was always the place for wrestling fans. Wrestling fans kind of migrated off of forums onto Twitter in particular, rather than Facebook. Or
was it there was somebody that we all follow. Was it Wiretop on Twitter this week? It was just I just came here because this is where all the cool people went when they fucking left the F4W board.
Yeah.
And I was that is why I joined Twitter,
that's where like wrestling fans came together. Like Twitter has always been the wrestling platform.
Yeah.
Even like when wrestling companies pushed the social media, first and foremost, it was like Twitter was the place where we gathered.
Such tout disrespect.
I will be sad when it dies. I'll be sad because it will die. He'll kill it.
But everything will. Do you know what I mean? Like it's in some ways it's almost like how it's lasted this long without like the people who were there first en masse moving to the next thing is kind of like we don't have modeling for this because we're still this is the first time this has happened in the age of social media, because things were pretty like when you had like Friendster, it was a big thing for a while, late 90s, early 2000s, that died off. MySpace had its cycle, Bebo had its cycle.
Shout out to Bebo, that was my secondary school one. We fucking loved
yeah,
Bebo.
Man, Bebo. Then everybody migrated to Facebook and Twitter, and that's kind of, even though stuff has developed since then, like Instagram, everybody hopped onto Instagram but kind of kept their Twitter and or their Facebook going. Most people I know that are roughly my age may have a figurative Facebook presence but do not actively engage with Facebook anymore whatsoever. Whereas there's still kind of
crucially forgot that we migrated to the F4W board. Like that has to go in there as well.
Yeah. That's moved from Bebo to the board. And
can I say as well, the best thing I saw this week was a friend of the show, Sean McGee, and this is the comment specifically only for you to get. But he was like, Elon Musk fucking wishes he could be Jimmy Lasers.
Yeah,
and I think there's nothing more like bang on than that.
Yeah, he wishes he could come up with anything as good as the King of the Board video that Jimmy Lasers had. But yeah, Garrett, it's gonna be like, it's such a, even these guys like an Elon Musk, who's like a dumb guy's idea of a smart guy, usually surround themselves with people that stop them making too calamitous set of decisions when it comes to business. But like, holy shit, is this, like, I would not be surprised if this acquisition ultimately ruins him.
And it's interesting, like 4 years ago you would have said, you know, Twitter and Facebook are these like social media giant monoliths, they're not going anywhere. And now with the Musk acquisition of Twitter, and with Zuckerberg pouring, I think, 15 billion into the metaverse, and they're down $1 billion in ad revenue, like, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Twitter's gone in like 3 years. Facebook might be gone too. It's not like beyond the realms of possible that Facebook might be gone too in the next few years, and that did seem impossible a few years ago. It's almost comforting in a way.
It's gonna be like, I have rarely been more compelled by the website. But yeah, no, it's I agree totally what you guys have said, that it's still my, I hasten to call it favorite because that implies like an entirely positive relationship, but it is my social media platform of choice. It's the one I spend the most time on. It's the one I've curated my feed most specifically to, because my feed is, I don't go full on blocking sprees like Mark proudly does, but I have like a curated list of the content and the people I want to hear, plus like a subset of people that are completely on the opposite end, to just for sake of what are the loonies talking about today. Like I have multiple times had people just go, you know, you follow like Piers Morgan on Twitter. I don't anymore, he blocked me, but I can't even remember why, but he blocked me.
My first account, the son of a bitch.
He blocked me at some stage, but I follow people like that just because, like, for me, the way I approach these things, I think it's kind of healthy to not fully echo chamber myself.
I mean, to be honest, even if you don't, like, people around you will probably retweet stuff anyway that will keep you in the sort of wider circle.
Again, it's a thing, maybe it's like from, you know, how I talk about these things in a professional capacity, that I constantly am warning people about getting stuck in loops of validation. Of like, if you're only in circles talking with people you agree with 100% of the time, your intellectual capacity and your beliefs and things like that, they don't develop dynamically. And you get intellectually lazy and things like that.
I mean, there is part of me that, purely from a personal kind of aspect, I'd be quite happy if Musk does tank Twitter, because there's probably, if I was to calculate the number of hours in the last 10 years I've spent on Twitter that I could have been spending
spend it somewhere else.
You say that, and you're probably right. But still, I could have been doing something maybe fractionally more
having that
productive.
conversation, like if Twitter does go away, if Facebook does go away, people aren't going to stop using the internet. They're going to go somewhere.
No, I will use the internet, but for productive things to, finally.
No, you won't. You'll just
you
read
want
some
to,
nonsense shite.
You want to send us back to the message boards.
Oh, that's the dream.
I'm down for that.